Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel where skincare is all about progression over perfection because perfection doesn't exist. There was a trend going around on TikTok, not too recently, but recently enough, where influencers were sharing all the shady things that brands had made them or asked them to do. Now I saw Soph from Soph Does Life doing this, and I thought I wanted to do this but in YouTube format, because you guys have been with me the longest, rather than TikTok. So I'm gonna do my morning skincare routine, and for legal reasons, I will not be saying brand names. But I wanna start with this story because I've mentioned this one before, but I now have receipts and the other influencer involved has given me permission to use their name. As I mentioned, I do my skincare routine. I've already washed my face. It's a morning, so I've just used my micellar water. I'm gonna go in with the Beauty of Joseon Glow Replenishing Rice Milk. This is a bi-phase formula. You have hydrating stage here. Then this stage kind of keeps you from being too glowy and dewy. So if you don't like that overly glass skin, which is literally just like a shit ton of shine, this is a really nice hydrating stage that's not gonna make you look too greasy. So a lot of you may remember this story, but let me refresh you, and I have evidence this time. So I think it was last year, I was looking into getting one of those UV mirrors, right? The ones that kind of show you where your sunscreen is on your face. A lot of people think they show you how good a sunscreen is at protecting, but that's not really how they work. I made that mistake before. And people were just releasing portable versions. I had kind of like this plug-in iPad type version that wasn't very practical. So I was looking into getting one of these new mirrors, right? And then randomly out of the blue, my manager messages me and she's like, this brand want to work with you. They don't have a great budget, but I thought I'd ask you anyway because I know this kind of thing is of interest to you. And it was a website where they do kind of like beauty tools, which I was interested in, primarily the UV mirrors, but the tools looked a little bit drop shippy. They didn't look great. There's things that I would rather not use myself. You know, they're all things that you see like an esthetician use for facials and stuff, but they did do these UV mirrors. And I was like, okay, well, I was gonna buy one of these UV mirrors anyway, pretty much what looked like that one. It looked like the same UV mirror, just with their branding on, a bit drop shippy kind of thing. So my manager got back to them, then got back to me. I was like, they just don't have the budget. They do not have the money that we'd usually charge for an inclusion in a YouTube video. So I was like, no. Basically, their budget was $2,000, and that's not what I charge. And I was like, that's not for me. But then I was like, hang on a second, let me think about this. I was gonna talk about these products anyway. I was gonna buy this mirror myself and talk about it anyway, so why not just get the mirror for free and then some money out of it? Bearing in mind, they do not have the budget, so I get to say whatever I want about the usage of it. And that $2,000 can be invested back in the channel. I can do a skincare haul with that, you know, a couple of hauls with that. So I was like, why not? It's no sweat off my back. I was gonna do it anyway. I was like, but let me think about it. I was busy. Was it really worth my time? I don't know. I was like, let me think about it. No contract signed, nothing. So then probably like a few days later, I get a message from Sarah Palmyra, who, if you're on the skincare side of TikTok, you definitely know who she is. She's an amazing skincare content creator who talks about hair also sometimes as well, general beauty. She messages me. I have permission to share all this, okay? She goes, hey James, there's this brand called Skin claiming that they'll be working with you on a YouTube next month. Is that true? I'm asking because they don't seem like a brand you would work with, and I think they were using that to try and make me more interested. So I replied basically saying, we've not signed anything yet, but we have actually managed to get a decent rate. We actually managed to kind of haggle a bit more and get a rate that was worthy of a 1-minute integration in the video that I felt comfortable with and that I could benefit from. So Sarah has sent me the email that this brand has sent her after Sarah had given them her rates for a TikTok video. They say, hi Sarah, your rate is even more expensive than James Welsh, Tati. They are all our friends and they gave us much lower rates. By the way, we'll be working with James and blank on a YouTube next month. Can you give your best rate for one Instagram reel and how much it will take for one dedicated YouTube video? So let's just go through this, right? Your rate is even more expensive than a list of influencers, including me. This is so unprofessional. You do not tell other people, or even hint or suggest at what other people's rates are for work, right? Tati does not charge less than myself, because Sarah, there's no way, there's no way Tati Westbrook charges less than that. A YouTube staple who has been in the business for years and years? I don't think so. Absolute lies. It's just rude. It's just really rude as well. Sarah then replies, she's going, I'm not interested, but thank you. That was polite. I would have been like, you can fuck off. Which we then actually did. I told my manager what had happened, the lies that they'd been telling to Sarah and other influencers. I also got messaged by another influencer saying that they had been doing the same thing. They actually told him I was charging less than what I was actually charging, again, to try and get a lower rate from them for a sponsored video. That happened. I think what brands don't expect is for a lot of us influencers in particular, a lot of us are really friendly behind the scenes. We talk, even if it's just on a professional level. We talk about what it's like to work with certain brands, products, devices, how a sponsorship went. We talk business, you know? So to try and pull the wool over an influencer's eyes and use another influencer's name to lowball the prices of everyone else and trying to get them to charge less is really bad practice. Also, revealing my rates is illegal. But this in particular left a really sour taste in my mouth. So now I don't, if a brand hasn't got the budget and I've not used their product before, even if I'm really interested, I'm just gonna be like, no, sorry. I'm gonna use my new favorite serum. This is the Sunboon Editor Green Tomato Pore Lifting Ampoule. I started a new one beginning of this week. This is like an antioxidant, pore refining, very gently exfoliating serum. That's just done wonders for the texture on my nose, actually. I've stocked up on this so much. I've got loads of these, because I just don't really want to be without it. So back in the day when I first started YouTube, I actually used to present the ASOS YouTube channel where I talk about styling men, really, because my background is personal shopping and styling. But a lot of people would ask me about skincare, so I created my own YouTube channel talking about skincare for men primarily. So I used to be lumped into this group of like for men YouTubers. Which is fine. It's not really my thing. You know, they're all doing like men's style and how to get a girl by wearing a white shirt, that kind of shit, whatever they do, I don't know. But I'd also get a lot of the job offers that they would get too. Monday morning, I wake up to an email from a new skincare brand. And what they had done is they had CC'd all these content creators into their email. They hadn't, you know, you could blind CC people in so you don't see, you don't get their replies and stuff. They just CC'd in everyone. There was at least 24 men influencers in there, right? Now, this skincare brand were like, hi, introducing themselves. We're a new skincare brand, blah, blah, blah. This is what we claim to do for your skin. It was a lot of targeting fine lines and wrinkles, dark spots, hyperpigmentation, acne, a lot of claims, right? And the brand looked fine. It looked fine. It was a little bit too for him for me, but they were like, we'd love to sponsor you for a video to talk about our brand. This is the budget. It was a flat budget for everyone, but there was a catch. They were like, we launch officially this Sunday. So we would love for you all to post a video reviewing our products on Sunday. They were like, we need you to talk about how amazing the products are, how much you love them, and how much it's transformed your skin within a week. They were like, now we understand that the timeline is quite short here, but we'd appreciate any help. They want us to lie for them. They then go on to say that they would post the products on a Wednesday and they would need the final drafts by Friday to then be approved to launch on a Sunday. They were posted on Wednesday. It was an American brand. I was the only one in the UK, but still you are most likely to get them Thursday, even if you are in the US. I probably would have gotten the Friday. So the turnaround, you would have used these products for one day, and that one day would have been your filming day, yet they wanted us to talk about how transformative these products were. And I was like, I replied saying, congratulations on the brand launch. This is when I didn't have a manager. I was like, unfortunately, one day testing products isn't enough for me to talk about how amazing these products are. I need a month or a bit longer, depending on what the products are. They didn't get back to me, whatever. Remember, I was blind CC'd in. The amount of people that were like, sure, send them over. Some of them were like, however, this is my budget. Ask them to pay more for the quicker turnaround, which I completely get. Come Sunday, there are about 5 or 6 4-men influencers who posted about this skincare brand, all at the same time, all saying the same things, with these amazing before and afters, and I don't know how they did them, but they just were not real. So this brand was just flat out lying, saying, we just launched, we basically need your help to lie about our brand. Luckily, I've never come across this before, like ever again. Like, brands just don't do that anymore, especially now I have management who make it super easy for me to be like, no, we need to change this contract. These are my rules and regulations, you know? I was so shocked at the amount of influencers who just accepted it. shocked at the time. Nowadays, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. It was really, it's just like seeing these. And then when I watched these guys talk after, I was like, I don't know when you're telling the truth because you sound the exact same when you're lying. It was definitely a bit of a wake up call back then, seeing how the industry can work and probably still does work to this day. This is one of my newest favorite serums. This is Anua's Rice 7 Plus Ceramides. It's a really hydrating, barrier repairing serum. When I think of ceramides, I think of thick creams, which I love, don't get me wrong, but to see a ceramide serum in this like almost like hydrating hyaluronic acidy type serum is weird to me, but I love it. So years ago when I first got management, and they weren't really management, they were more of like a multi-channel network who pretended they were management, I was working with a skincare brand that I absolutely loved. But bearing in mind, what I'm about to tell you now isn't a reflection of the brand, it's actually the marketing team that were representing the brand. And I had used this brand before, right? It was one of my favorite brands at the time, not so much anymore, just because I barely use them anymore. And they had asked me if I wanted to do sponsored content with them. They had seen my work and how I talked about them before, and they were like, why am I crooked? And they were like, can we sponsor you to just do a mention in one of your YouTube videos, like an integration? I was like, oh my God, yeah, of course. By now, I had finished all their products. I didn't have them in my room, in my beauty room or anything like that. So they were sending some new product over for me to use. And it was a moisturizer that they wanted me to talk about. So usually what you'd do is you'd wait for the product to arrive and then you'd film it, right? Because you have to film the bottle. A lot of brands like you to use brand new product rather than used products, which I'm not sure why. It's just authentic to see your used bottle, you know, or your used tub or something, but no. And the deadline was coming up and I was like, to my manager, I was like, I don't have these products, like I need to get on with filming. They then got back to my manager and said, we are having problems at the warehouse as far as like shipping stuff out. Can James just use a similar looking moisturizer, pretend it's the sponsored product, and pretend the results are the actual moisturizer? Because you do a product shot, right? And then you have to show a usage and you have to show how that product looks on the skin, how your skin looks throughout the rest of the day, you know, how it sits on the skin. And they want me to fake it, basically. This was like a gel cream type moisturizer. So they were asking me to use another moisturizer and fake the results, essentially. So I was like, no, like, why would I do that? I was like, the results have to be genuine. They have to be true to what the product looks like. Otherwise, people might buy this moisturizer and end up getting a finished result that they don't want. We then backed out of the contract. I was like, I don't want to work with this brand if this is how they're going to work. It wasn't the brand. I still like the brand. I just don't use them as much anymore because I've moved on. It was the PR marketing company who I don't think are around anymore, actually, but still, for legal reasons, I won't say who they were. For moisturizer, I'm going to use the Then I Met You Bong Bounce Cream. This is amazing. I'm nearly at the end here. I can see the bottom, but this is really dewy. If you want, this is again like a ceramide barrier healing cream that isn't thick and gloopy and like CeraVe-ish, you know, it's just a nice watery but slightly thick moisturizer. At first you're like, oh, this is going to leave like a film on my skin, but it really doesn't. It's so nice. So this next one actually only happened to me in the past year. I want you to bear in mind that I have worked with many brands, and as you grow, your budget grows, right? Because people are paying for your audience and your reach and your engagement. So you have to price yourself accordingly, right? So I got an email from a brand who I really like, really like. Again, this is not the brand, it's a marketing company. And I don't think this marketing company knew that I had worked with this brand before within the last year. And they were like introducing this brand and they were using buzzwords like clean and natural. And I was like, you don't know me. Well, that's not attractive to me at all. And they were like, we want you to produce 10 pieces of content, including TikToks, Instagram posts, and full YouTube videos. 10 pieces of content for £100. So they were going to pay me £10 for each piece of content. That's it. Now, I'm not looking down on £100 being a decent amount of money, but even if you are considered a micro-influencer, even if you have no following whatsoever, anyone asking you to do 10 hours, like about 10 hours work, if not more, that will be 10 pieces, will be a couple of days work. For £100 is horrific, absolutely horrific. I feel like this is predatory because there are some, I would have done this when I was first starting YouTube. I would be like, oh my God, a brand I love, they're paying me to create this content. Yes, 100%. I'm a little bit old fashioned when it comes to, I think it's because I worked in like the photography, fashion world. I did a lot of working for free to get to know people. It's like old fashioned networking. And I believe that works in some cases, but also the way things are in the influencer world nowadays, a lot of brands, when they do this, are paying for the content you produce, not your audience engagement and reach, which a lot of people pay me for, if that makes sense. They're paying you for a piece of content like UGC creators or smaller micro influencers that they can repost and then use over and over and over. So it's kind of like instead of having an in-house like in-house social team, they pay people next to nothing to create these pieces of content for them, which they can repost over and over, have exclusive rights to, which £100 for 10 pieces of that is taking the piss. It doesn't matter what your following is, you should never do days of work for £100, which they can then get so much out of. As I mentioned, this was from a brand that I have worked with before. I know they have money. I know they have a budget. They have several viral products on TikTok. But as I mentioned, this was like a separate marketing company. So I don't know if they were like, here's a budget we have. I don't really know how it works that end. And they were just like, okay, let's see how far we can stretch this budget. And like, let's literally just take the piss. But I was so tempted to email back and be like, with all due respect, this is really fucking insulting for anyone at any stage of their influencer career. What's funny is I posted it on my Instagram stories, like public, and I got like 10 other influencers messaging me saying, oh my God, I got the exact same email of varying sizes. And we all agree that this was just not okay. This was not enough for anyone. Oh, by the way, that was the Preto Wonder Relief Centella Daily Sun Lotion. I did previously have a sponsorship with them, purely because I love the product so much. This is not sponsored. It's just my daily go-to. As somebody with rosacea, sunscreens can get really stingy and flare up my cheeks and also sting my eyes. This one doesn't at all. Luckily, I've never had any brands ask me to hide that I'm doing an ad or to hide sponsorships. An influencer friend of mine sent me an email, which I'm not going to share because I'm not asked permission, basically saying where a brand she was working with did ask her to hide the advert because it looks more authentic, and asked if she was okay with that, to which she said, I'm obviously not okay with that, and posted it with a clear ad, as is the UK law, because she's an amazing influencer. That's it. I'm gonna go do my hair. I hope that was interesting. I think even though there are so many laws in place nowadays about how to advertise online and how to work with influencers and how much money, not laws, but how much money people are worth or how much money you should pay someone for their time no matter what their following are, it still shocks me to see that people don't quite know, professionals still don't quite know how to navigate this industry or how to follow the law in some cases. But yeah, let me know if you're an influencer of any size down below, and let me know if anything shady's ever happened to you, or even just your work, shady work stories. I would love to know. I don't work in an office anymore, so I miss office place drama. Let me know in the comments down below. You can put some product reviews and routines or something here, some general light entertainment here, and I'll see you over there.